Hey guys, welcome to tonight's episode of Personal Development Hacks. I'm Todd, and I'll be your host for this evening. If you guys are kind of sick of repeating the same cycle and struggling to find a way to move your life forward and make progress, we're here to help. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about things that you can start right now. As we've talked about, there's absolutely no reason for you to wait for a birthday, for the holidays to pass, for New Year's, anything like that. It's just a date on a calendar. And if you truly want to start creating a better, more significant life and start living your best life, there is no time like the present. There's an old saying that says, when's the best time to plant a tree? And the answer is 20 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. So we're just going to talk about some things with regard to your shift in thinking of things that you can start putting into effect right now. And just things to be conscious of that can help change your mindset and get you moving forward. So first thing is, like, whatever we put into the universe, it comes back to us. That's obviously important because we want to be conscious of whatever we're putting out, we are getting back. We've talked about how we all have people in our lives that they always seem to be busy and things come to them and they've got a lot of stuff going on, but they're also not just on the work side or the wealth side, but on their life. They're taking cool vacations, or they're doing these things and creating these memories that always seem to be happening, and it is not by accident. That's the energy that they're putting out, and it is coming back to them. So just be mindful of the energy that you're putting out into the world, because if you're negative, it's going to come back negative. If you're looking at it and saying, oh God, this always happens to me, or why can't I catch a break? That's going to come back to you. But if you shift your mindset a little bit to say, I'm working towards this, or I'm doing this, or I learned from this, what could be looked at as a setback, but you look at what you learned instead of what you didn't get done, that's going to start to pay off in the long run. So just be conscious of it. Life doesn't happen by itself. We need to make it happen. That's true with everything. If it's health, wealth, relationships, those things don't just come and fall into your lap. You need to go out and consciously make the effort to make things happen. If winning Powerball is on your list, at the same time you still have to go buy a ticket. But putting in the work, making the effort, being intentional about the decisions and the actions that you take, that's making things happen in your life. If you're unsatisfied with your day to day in terms of your employment, it's not going to change unless you're intentional about making that change. If it's your wealth, you need the same thing. You need to be intentional about not just where you're putting your current income, but be intentional about how do you generate additional sources, or make more from what you're currently doing. Looking for those opportunities in relationships as well. It's if you're happily with someone and you have been for a long time and you can't see yourself without someone, that's awesome. But you have to continue to make that effort to continue to grow and evolve and keep that relationship there. If you fall into the trap of just, I always have that to rely on. It goes day by day by day by day. Things can change. So be intentional with the effort that you're making in all aspects of your life. You have to accept something in order to change it. So, like we've talked about, your first step in this entire process is realizing that you're not living your best life or the life that you want. And you have to accept that, and you have to recognize it. You have to be able to see what's out there and what you're doing that you don't like before you can start making changes. If you're going at this and it's, you're just like, oh, it sounds cool, or I'd like to do this, you're not quite getting there. Like, you have to accept what you really are dissatisfied with, what you don't like, to be able to truly make a lifetime change. Remember, we're not talking about something short time. We're talking about a lifetime, and living your best life each and every day, from now until the end, basically, whenever that ultimately is. But accept. You have to acknowledge and accept what's been limiting you and what the changes are that you have to see in order to actually go out and make that change in your life, your family's life, your close ones, kids, spouses, everything. Next, we're going to when we change ourselves, our lives follow suit and change too. So that goes a ton to like personal development. As you change and evolve, your lives is going to change with it. So, if you're looking at it and you're accepting all these things and you're seeing these changes and you're like, I'm going to make these changes, trust me, your life is going to follow that. And it's not just, you could be dead set on, I need to get fit. And as soon as you accept that and you start to really make those strides and make progress and focus on it, your entire life just kind of follows suit, because you've changed yourself as a person, as an individual, your sphere around you, everything. You're changing your life and you're improving it and you're making progress. And it's amazing how it happens, where if you're looking at one aspect of what you're doing, and you focus on it and make that change, how all of a sudden everything else starts to just happen for you. And it might not be something you're focused on, but it is something that it starts to happen, because you're focused on your life and making your changes. You also have to take responsibility for what is in your life. If it's a relationship, it's exactly what it says. It's your relationship. If it is, your employment or your fitness level, whatever, you have to take responsibility and look hard in the mirror today at, say today is day one of you really truly consciously saying, I'm not happy, but you have to take responsibility for what has led you to that point. It could be you followed in a family member's footsteps into a business, or you're in a relationship that it hasn't been great from the beginning, or time happens. Your activity levels fell off, and you started spending more time watching TV and stuff like that. Take responsibility for what has led you to the point that you're at, and it gives you a different perspective on what needs to change when you look at and you look back at what has led you to the point today that now has you saying, I want something different. Take responsibility for it, but at the same time, it's a great thing to do, because now you know what you need to adjust or fix or change, because you know what happened in the past that's led you to today. The past, present, and future are all connected along that same line. Like, how you grew up, where you grew up, your relationships, events that happened in your life, all these things in your past have led you to where you're currently at. That's why if you look at that and think, okay, I don't want these things anymore, but they're all connected. They're all focused on you. You're that connection point between what's happened in the past, what you're currently experiencing and going through on a daily basis, and what's going to happen to you as you make changes and start to adjust your life and live your best life. You're that connection point through all of those things. Just know that they are all connected. So it's important to realize, like, if you start on doing something and you feel yourself getting into the same repetition that you've had in the past, recognize it quickly and make the adjustment. Don't take something new on only to fall into a new pattern that you don't like and doesn't fulfill you either. Also, we can't think of two different things at the same time. So that's where, if you're focused on your fitness, obviously you're still going to go to work, you still have relationships, but if your focus is truly on the health of your life and your fitness level, that'll be your focus. And that's what you need to pay the most attention to, because it's going to have the greatest impact. Same thing if you're focused more on wealth, or if you're focused more on relationships. You'd be surprised how the other other things in your life just fall in line, because you're so laser focused and intentional about your time and your efforts on whatever it is that that led you here, that you're dissatisfied with currently in your life. And it'll help you live your best life. But those other things they'll all fall in line. And that's why it's important, as you go through this, to share with those around you what you're doing, why you're doing it, why it's important to you, the impact that it's going to have on them. Do you need their help? Do you need their accountability? Do you need them to cheer you on? Um, are they your reason why? Are you at a stage where your family is the most impacted by whatever change you're making? And what's their involvement, and what do you need help, and share with them why they are your true why. You want to be there for your family for the long term. You want to coach your kids in sports, or you want to, your kids are active and you want to be active with them, things like that. But don't get so scattered amongst, all these different things, because they can each only get a certain portion of your time and effort. And so, it's like, instead of casting a wide net but very shallow, just fish with one bait, right? Where you can fish, it goes really deep, but it's intentional. And that'll maximize the effort and get you the results quicker that way than if you're like, well, I'm going to focus on my health, and I'll start walking, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to focus on my wealth, I'm going to change this in my career, and I'm going to focus on my relationship. It's too wide of a net, and you're not going to get the impact overall in your life that you want, that's important to you, that than it is if you focus on one thing. And then when you get to a stage to where that is no longer what you're doing but who you are, then focus on the other, because it becomes a habit, right? It's like anything else. It's what do they say? It takes 21 days to create a habit and 3 days to break it. So once you get in the habit of, I go for a walk every day, or I'm expanding my business, or I took this side gig on that's going to generate some cash flow, and we're going to go out and take my family out once a month, and I'm going to take my significant other out twice a month, and that just becomes who you are anymore. Once you get those things established, and it's an expectation in what you're doing, then move on and focus on something else, that you truly want, or maybe that not that you put off, but that wasn't your primary area of focus, and share that with your family members and be like, okay, this is where we're at now. What's next? What else is out there? This is what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? Get them involved in it, because ultimately your family, your friends, I mean, we're a social planet. We all crave human interaction, and so you want to get them involved and get their input, because what you're thinking, they may have a completely different idea. And if you actually sit down and share and discuss those things, then you can come to a consensus as to what is truly the next, why it's important to you, why it's important to them. Also, our behavior should match our thoughts and actions. So, if you think that let's just take tips. Like, if you think that, I'm a good tipper, I tip above, 20%, I'm usually at 25% or whatever. But if you think that you're a good tipper, your action needs to reflect that. If you think that you're a good spouse, then your action needs to reflect that. If you think that you're physically active, then your actions need to reflect that. You can't think that you're physically active, but your actions say you're, when you're not at work, you're at home, just sitting there absorbed in TV or, in front of a computer or on your phone or something like that, and not actually being active. And that goes with anything. Just whatever you that um, think that you are or that you're doing, just make sure that your actions reflect those thoughts. If you think you're active, then be active. If you think that you're creating different lines of revenue for increased cash flow, then you need to be doing that. It doesn't have to be a final product. You don't have to sit there and say, well, this is what I do, and everything is already in place. But if you're starting out and you're like, this is something I need to do, then you need to go do it. Nothing's going to be perfect. It's better to launch an imperfect idea quickly than it is to wait until everything is fine-tuned before you actually do anything about it. Because the world moves quick, right? So if you're sitting there and as you're fine-tuning and getting everything like in perfect line and ready, and you've got all of a sudden your launch date is 2 months away or stuff like that, as you're doing all that, your competition, other people out there, they launched 3 months ago with an idea or a thought, and they just went to market with it and said, here's what I'm thinking. And by the time you are ready to launch your perfect idea, they've been making money and they've been doing something about it for 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, and they're adjusting along the way, and letting the market tell them what works, what doesn't work, and the whole time you're fixing something or making adjustments for something that the market hasn't told you if it's right or wrong yet. Same thing with anything else like fitness, anything like that. If you say I'm going to start getting fit, it's going to happen on August 1st. Well, someone else that said I'm going to start getting physically fit, I'm going to start with something as simple as I'm going to go for a walk every day. That's 60 days worth of them actually taking action, creating a habit, and making progress for 60 days while you've been waiting. So just make sure that whatever you're thinking, your actions reflect it. Another important one is we can't be present if we're looking backwards. So while it's important to recognize what's happened in the past, it's in the past. There is nothing that you can do to change what's already happened. Take, for example, I'm sitting here, and as soon as I hit record or hit play and I'm sitting here talking to you, everything I've said up until this point, it's in the past. I can't change it. Same thing with you guys. Don't look back and say, I would be doing this except for this happened to me. And it could be a year ago, could be 5 years ago, 10, as a child, whatever. But you have to be in the moment today, recognize everything that's happened in your past that's led you to there. But once you've got that established, be present in the moment and look forward. Um, you know, I mean, who's got the friend or whatever where, I mean, I'm 47, so I graduated high school, what, 30 years ago? Jeez. Um, so 30 years ago, but I guarantee you that I could go to a reunion or meet up with buddies or whatever, and they're still telling stories about stuff that happened in high school. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, what are you doing now? Like, how is your life today? I don't care what happened at a football game 30 years ago. You can't change anything about it. I mean, it's nice to have a memory, but it doesn't help anything with your present being. Okay. Um, with all of that, rewards are a result of the energy and efforts that we put into it. So if you're focused on something, doesn't matter what it is, and that's where your energy and your effort is going towards, um, that's where your reward is going to be. Rewards recognize effort and intentionality. Um, so if you're focused on it, and that's, you're especially early on when you're working to establish a habit and it's not quite who you are yet, it's still kind of what you're doing. The more you do it, rewards start to come your way. Um, like, there's no such thing as a instant gratification pill that you can just pop and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm down 40 pounds and, I've got X amount in the bank and I've got a dream wife and dream kids and we're, traveling or doing this or that and everything. It takes time. It takes effort. Um, if it's something to where you, in looking back, you recognize that what has led me to the stage that I'm at now is a lack of activity. Okay, today's my day. I'm just gonna start walking. Don't jump up and weigh yourself tomorrow and think that miraculously 10 pounds just disappeared. It takes time. Um, and there's plenty of stuff out there that you guys will see online, social media, whatever, that'll help you get there faster. That's fine. Explore all those options. And if it works for you, sweet. Like, I'm not sitting here as a fitness coach or a wealth coach or relationships. I just want, my goal is to have you recognize that you need to design everything now for your lifetime and give you steps in the process that are easy to follow, to achieve that best life and hit those lifetime goals now, and recognize that the efforts and everything that you start doing today and moving forward are going to pay off for you in the long run. So again, guys, if you need help with this, if you want, support in this, if you want, to take part in more detailed conversations and everything, then just click here, projectmountainlife.com/coaching. We've got a few different products available and programs in terms of, what we can do. But jump down there, and it'll prompt you to set up a call. We'll jump on Zoom like this and figure out like what you want, what your goals are, start you on that process, figure out if we're the right fit for each other, and then get you guys going on that on something. That's the most important thing. Is in the end, like, if watching this just prompts you to want to do something, and we are not the right fit, but you find the right fit, that makes you take that next step, awesome. Then as long as you're taking steps, then that's great. I mean, imagine a world full of people that, all 8 billion people or whatever out there are actually like owning their lives and doing something about it, instead of just falling in line and just, satisfied or feel relegated to the spot that they're in currently. And they're the ones that's at a 30-year high school reunion telling a high school football story, or, about an argument that they had with a cheerleader, whatever it is. Okay. All right. So remember, you are asking for growth going through anything. As soon as you recognize like you're unsatisfied with where you're at and you're going to make a change, you're asking for growth. Do not be surprised when that challenges the crap out of you. Growth was never supposed to be easy. Growth was never something that, just falls into your laps. It's not supposed to be easy. It requires effort. It requires thought. It requires intentionality. It requires a driven focus towards a specific goal. And it's going to be tough, and you're going to have roadblocks and encounter things along the way that you gotta figure a way around it, over it, through it, whatever, to continue on your path. And if it's, anything, if you need to take a couple days to really figure out what adjustments you need to make, but during that couple days you're still doing something, that's progress. It doesn't matter how big a step or big a leap you're making forward in your whatever your ultimate best life goal is for health, wealth, or relationships. As long as you're making progress, then it's a positive day. But don't expect to go into this and think it's going to be easy. The more you want to grow, the more you want to develop, the more you want to experience, the memories, the greater they are that you want to create, the harder it gets. And it requires a lot more focus, a lot more effort. It requires more help. The best and the brightest out there, from athletes to businessmen to, just global thinkers or whatever, they've all got coaches. They've all got people that they lean on, that give them a different perspective on what they're going through and what they're going about. So when you encounter those challenges, just expect them. You are choosing a path that is going to require work and effort, and it was never intended to be easy. That's the beauty of the programs that we offer, is going through the process of establishing what your goal is, why, why not, like what's encountered in the past and then what's next. That's super simple, but that's the easy part. Then as soon as you're like, okay, I know what I want to do, and you hit go, then your work starts. Then it becomes, okay, now you got to actually go out and start walking, or you got to start making calls on a different sources of income, or you got to go talk to your boss about ways that you can generate more, or things that you can do that you're proving that you deserve more money, or you got to go and spend time on your relationship. And sometimes that's just like doesn't have to cost a ton of money, but maybe it's just your significant other is likes nature, and so you just go out with them and sit and you talk, and you share in things. But if it's not what you're normally used to, not what you're normally doing, remember, you're growing. It's supposed to be hard. Okay. uh, so with it being basically June, here's some things that you can do. Excuse me. Just for the rest of the year. Now, some of these are not going to be exactly what your goal is or what your outset is, but these are some items and some things that it's just important to kind of keep in mind. First is become a ghost for 6 months. Just disconnect socially from social networks, from don't go out all the time with your coworkers or whatever after work. Obviously you're still going to have your family, but just disconnect and become a ghost for 6 months and really spend that time focused on you and your immediate loved ones. It it helps so much, because you're not looking elsewhere for stimulation, for entertainment, or anything like that. You've just removed yourself from it. Next thing is make everything that happens your fault. Take ownership of 100% of what is going on in your world and your life. Make it your fault, and figure out what you could have done differently, or said, not said, whatever you want to say, to have the result be different than it was. And it could be very minor. Something could happen, and you're like, well, I have nothing to do with this. But if you look at it and say, okay, it was my fault, it just gives you a different perspective on it. This is actually the one. This is really good. But find the beast within you. Find that fire that never give up, give in, settle. Find that beast that just powers through that. There's plenty of stuff out there that you can read on, or little motivational things or whatever. But if you latch on to something and it you read it and you're like, yeah, I want that, find that. And find that fire that you can just look towards. And it really just kind of it you feel it, like your energy level goes up, your desire to accomplish something goes up, but find that beast within yourself that you don't take no and you don't settle. Along with that is throw yourself into pain. And that's where, like we talked about with the, growth is never easy. If it's fitness, it's going to hurt. Especially if you haven't done something regularly in a long time, you're going to feel muscles and joints start to hurt or ache or be sore. Trust me, that you didn't even think existed on your body. Same thing with, wealth. If it makes you uncomfortable and it's painful to make a decision, throw yourself into it. Find your beast and then throw yourself into it. Cut out all the excuses. And this is a huge one. Don't, it's like I've talked about, like when I first kind of started on my own personal path, my excuse was it's Colorado, it's cold, it's snowing, I can't go for a walk today. That's an excuse. There's always something that you can do. So just take excuses and they don't exist anymore. There is something that you can do about every situation, and you just stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses for other people. That's important too, is like, if it's a situation or a scenario that you had nothing to do with, don't look at it and think, oh, well, that person must be going through a rough time. Now you're making excuses for someone else. You be present in yourself in the moment, and just cut out all excuses. Along with that, go all in on yourself. Watching this or looking online or, finally getting to that point to where, you want something different. When you make the decision that you want something different, don't go at it halfway. Don't dip a toe in. Just jump in, go all in, give it every effort that you can, and then course correct as you go through it. If you decide that you want to do X and you just like, that's what I'm doing, and you go 100% and you dive in the pool and that's what you're doing, and things change or things adjust, or your person, you as a person, you're like, I don't like this, then course correct. But that is going all in on yourself. Don't do anything halfway. Be in or out. Don't just sit there sitting on the side of the pool with your feet in. Train like a warrior. If it's fitness is your thing, I don't care. If you're, like I said, if you haven't done something in 25 years and you're like, I just need to start walking, I need to start getting active, then that is being a warrior for you. It's going to be different for, a world-class athlete and what they're doing, or, some of these guys that you'll see like David Goggins or stuff like that. I mean, you look at them and it's like, dude, I can't do anything that guy does. That's fine. But be a warrior for yourself, whatever ultimately that means. If it's attacking, something with your wealth or relationships or obviously fitness, just be a warrior in going after what you want. And with that, work like a robot. Just be very singularly focused. That's what robots are good at, right? And I know times are changing with AI and everything, but the assembly line, when robots have started coming in, all they do, there's one robot with an arm that all it does is puts the bolts on the tire, and it gets them to the exact correct tightness, and it does it efficiently, and it does it every single time. Because that's just the purpose of what it's doing. And you can do the same thing. I know it says work like a robot, but it's whatever work that you're doing. If it's going for a walk, just do it methodically every single day. That creates a habit, that creates progress. You start to see progress, you start to feel progress. It changes from doing what you're doing to who you are. And you stop getting the questions about, wow, you look good. What are you doing? You lost weight? How much weight you lost? And then you just start showing up and people just be like, hey, what's up? Because it's now who you are. At the same time, eat like a king. If you're going to go out to dinner, just go out and eat well. You don't have to get a salad with, lemon oil or whatever on it all the time. Like when you do go out to eat well. It rejuvenates. It can be a reward. Your body needs food for fuel. So eat well when you do go out. I'm not saying going to like an all-you-can-eat pasta bar, but eat well. Reject vices, and I know that this can be harder done than said, but if you've always depended on a cigarette, a drink, conversation that you have with coworkers where it's a bitch session or anything like that, just reject them. Today is a new you. If you want to be present, your vices are in your past. You can't do anything about the fact that they were part of your daily routine. Today they're not. And today you starting new and you're moving forward. So everything that you've held on to, do something else. If it's you need to chew gum, or if you'll be amazed how good it feels if your friends are like, all right, it's Thursday, we're going out for drinks and bitch about the boss, and you're like, I'm not going. How good it feels that you're separating yourself from the pack, from the herd. You're leading in a different way. Maybe the first couple times, you just say that you're not going. And then maybe the third time, your closest friend or someone that, you really trust and depend on and is a good personal friend that you also work with, when that comes up, be like, man, I'm not going. Do you want to come over here? We can talk about something that's not work related, something that will help us make progress. Transform and upgrade. That's what it's about, is just changing our daily routines and our mundane and our kind of drone society of just everyone just does the same thing every day, and there's nothing out there, but upgrade. Um, if you look at it and you're like, this is my dream life, there's nothing mundane about it. I'm pretty sure. If you're living your dream life and it is mundane because you're the first one in your family to have a steady job or to, not work at, whatever in the auto mechanic or whatever, um, that's great. But look at it in terms of you're living your best life. And if that's not where you're currently at, then you need to make the change to upgrade your life. Create. That's, we're not all artists or, singers or poets or anything like that, but there is creativity in every single person in the world. And just have fun with it and do what makes you happy. There's people out there where their true talent is creating businesses, or their true talent is, creating this amazing life with their family, because they do X, Y, and Z, and they truly focus on those memories. They are creating those memories by their actions. So, whatever interests you, um, whatever you enjoy doing, it doesn't have to be, all of a sudden we've got a, society full of Picassos and Jackson Pollocks and everything else sitting out there with these amazing artworks. But you can create whatever you want within your own set of skills, set of likes, your desires, everything like that. And the last two is just to thrive and win. Um, Thrive is such a great word because it's not, it's like if you're truly thriving in life and living your best life, um, just think about what that means. Like to truly thrive is, you've got all aspects of your life fall just firing on all cylinders. Um, Everything has its own individual laser focus, and none of it is forced. It is because you've taken the time to create who you are, um, not only to your fitness level, but to your wealth level, to your relationships. And that's who you are anymore. It's no longer about efforts that you're making. It's the result of those efforts. And you're living that thriving life. And along with that comes winning. Um, don't be ashamed of it. Don't shy away from the fact that you should be able to look at yourself in the mirror um, every single day and just be like, yeah, I'm winning life right now. And you might look at it and say, this is day one, but get up, look in the mirror, and you're going to win life today. 6 months from now, you'll now all of a sudden those efforts that you've made are paying off, and now you're on a different focus or something else, but you're still winning at life. And it's because of the efforts that you've put in, the thoughts that have come into it, the connection with your past, present, and future, learning from everything in the past, leaving it in the past, focusing on the present with a growth idea moving forward. Um, you're winning at life. So that's my hope for everyone out there. is whatever that means to you as an individual to thrive and win at life, then go get it. There is no time like the present to start on whatever journey that is that you want to take. You know, it's an oyster. I mean, it's just it's sitting there just waiting for everyone, but you just have to go and get it. Recognize that's going to be tough, but it is there for the getting for each and every single one of us. You just have to make that decision that I'm going to go do this, and look in the mirror, and you're going to win life today. So that's enough for tonight. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Catch us every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Thanks, guys.